In 2017, 23-year-old freediver Mason Clark entered a Florida spring hoping to push his breath-hold record, but he never resurfaced. Mason trained alone, something experts consider deadly when diving in deep freshwater caverns. At 10:14 a.m., he took one deep inhale and descended into the narrow shaft of Devil's Sink. Inside, the tunnel twisted like a funnel, squeezing tighter the deeper he swam. At 90 feet, nitrogen buildup and rising CO2 caused a blackout. Silent, sudden, unavoidable. His unconscious body drifted deeper, pulled by the cavern's downward current. He struck a rocky ledge, his mask cracking on impact. Above the surface, tourists waited, unaware he was already gone. 20 minutes passed, far beyond human breath limits. Another diver finally spotted Mason wedged in the cavern fold. His skin had turned pale gray, showing the early signs of hypoxic arrest. Rescuers tried to lift him, but the passage was too tight for two people to maneuver. It took almost an hour to retrieve his body from the vertical shaft. On the surface, CPR was attempted, but his chest remained still. Paramedics declared him dead moments later. Investigators confirmed he blacked out from shallow water hypoxia. His death became a harsh warning for freedivers nationwide. Mason's final dive lasted 5 minutes, but sealed his fate forever. Incident 2. The San Diego Kelp Forest Entanglement. In 2019, 31-year-old marine photographer Lucas Benton entered the San Diego kelp forests to film sea lions. Lucas was known for pushing into tight, overgrown patches of kelp, dangerous territory for any diver. At 40 feet, he drifted into a thick vertical column of kelp stalks. His fin snagged first, then the camera strap, then his tank valve. He tried to kick free, but the harder he fought, the tighter the kelp wrapped around him. Lucas attempted to cut himself out with a dive knife. His breathing sped up. Bubbles streamed violently upward. The surge pushed him sideways, wrapping kelp across his mask like a blindfold. He inhaled sharply, his air supply dropping dangerously fast. Lucas's frantic cuts only made the vines split and multiply around him. Soon he couldn't move his legs at all. His mask slipped, flooding with cold salt water. Disoriented and gasping, he inhaled water instead of air. His final breath triggered a violent thrashing that only locked him tighter. Minutes later, he floated motionless inside the kelp column. A passing dive group found him suspended upright, eyes open, unblinking. Rescuers cut him free, but he had drowned long before they arrived. Kelp entanglement remains one of California's deadliest ocean hazards. Incident 3. The Michigan Shipwreck Dive. In 2018, 28-year-old wreck diver Hannah Lee explored a century-old freighter resting in Lake Michigan, seeking haunting underwater photos. The water was frigid, near freezing, but Hannah pushed on, ignoring the chill. At 80 feet, she entered the hull through a narrow porthole. Inside, darkness swallowed the beam of her flashlight, leaving only silhouettes of rusted metal and hanging cables. Her rebreather beeped, a warning she ignored, thinking she had enough air. Suddenly, a burst of silt from the deck stirred, clouding the water. Hannah's vision vanished completely. Orientation was lost in seconds. Panic set in as she attempted to retrace her path to the porthole. Her hand snagged a rusted hook, twisting her tank dangerously. Minutes stretched endlessly. Cold, disorientation, and panic combined into lethal pressure. Her air ran out faster than expected in the stress and cold. A sudden current swept her into a narrow side passage. She struck a metal beam and blacked out instantly. Rescuers found her the next day, trapped 70 feet inside the hull. CPR and emergency care failed. Hannah was declared dead at the surface. Investigators noted she had followed all safety procedures, but misfortune struck. The wreck remains a chilling sight for divers in Michigan. Hannah's dive became a haunting cautionary tale of the Great Lakes' frozen depths. Incident 4. The New York Harbor Night Dive. In 2020, 26-year-old recreational diver Mark Sanders descended into the murky waters of New York Harbor at night. The city lights flickered far above, but the water below was black and cold. Mark aimed to film submerged wrecks, unaware of the hazardous currents that lurked. At 30 feet, his fins caught an abandoned rope, pulling him into a submerged dock. He tried to free himself, but the tide grew stronger, tugging him into deeper waters. His dive light flickered, and darkness swallowed him almost instantly. Mark's panic caused him to hyperventilate, consuming air faster than normal. He collided with a floating crate, his mask dislodged, water flooding in. The current dragged him under a steel beam, pinning him in place. Minutes passed as Mark flailed, disoriented and exhausted. His tank warning beeped repeatedly, ignored in his panic. He attempted to kick free, but the strong tide and entanglement refused to release him. Eventually, the frigid water drained his energy completely. A nearby night diver found his body hours later, trapped beneath debris. Rescue attempts failed. Mark had drowned in the chaotic harbor currents. Authorities confirmed that sudden currents were responsible, not negligence. The incident became a warning. Night dives in harbor waters are extremely dangerous. Mark's camera was recovered, its footage a haunting record of the struggle. Incident 5. The Oregon River Gorge Rip Current. In 2021, 30-year-old adventure diver Chloe Parker explored the turbulent waters of the Oregon River Gorge. The river was swollen from heavy rains, creating powerful hidden currents. Chloe dove from a rocky ledge, aiming to photograph submerged rocks. Immediately, she was caught in a violent whirlpool. Her fins slapped the water frantically, but the current was too strong. The river dragged her under a fallen log, pinning her against jagged stones. Chloe tried to release her scuba harness, but the straps were entangled. Air bubbles escaped rapidly as her rebreather failed under stress. Minutes turned to agony as exhaustion and panic overcame her. She struggled one last time, thrashing in the white-capped water. Then silence. She sank beneath the river's surface, motionless. Rescuers arrived too late. Her body was recovered hours later downstream. Authorities noted that hidden currents are one of the deadliest threats in Oregon rivers. Her camera floated free, still recording the struggle she could not survive. Emergency responders warned all divers. Even experienced swimmers can fall victim. Chloe's death shocked the local diving community. Her friends posted tributes online, emphasizing the unpredictability of river dives. The Oregon River Gorge remains a beautiful but lethal location for thrill seekers.